All right, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for this week's Breakout Watchlist from February 8th to the 12th. All the stocks that we're going to be talking about today have breakout potential in the upcoming week. They're all above their 200-day simple moving average, which is in an uptrend, and they're 150% or more off their 52-week low. We're always trying to find the strongest stocks getting stronger here. Last week's winners, we found MGNI up 59%, VERU up 24%, and JOE up 20% in just 1 week. If you're new to the channel, I make these breakout watch lists on Sunday mornings. I do a live stream either on Tuesday or Wednesday, breaking down some trades and updating this watch list. And then on Friday, I do a trading recap covering how the watch list performed and a breakdown of both my winners and losers. I always try and stress my losing trades as well because you lose in trading. You're going to have some setups that end up working against you. And if you don't know how to manage losing trades, you're not going to stay trading for long. So I always try and be upfront. Not all the trades that I make are winners, and I show how I handle the losers. So if you enjoy trading content, subscribe to the channel and follow me on StockTwits, Twitter, and TikTok. If you're coming here for a specific stock, timestamps for every different setup is going to be in the comments below. All right, so one thing that I've been doing in 2021 is from this breakout watch list, I'll choose 4 stocks. These 4 are NNOX, PLUG, TSLA, and RIOT. And then I'll post this on my Twitter, let you vote on how we invest the money from all the money that I make on TikTok, I put into a trading account, and then I let you guys vote, and we invest the money however you guys vote. Then at the end of the week, I sell off those positions, and if at the end of the year this trading account beats my own personal trading account on a weekly compounding basis, I'm giving everything that I make from TikTok and the gains from the account away. So make sure you watch the video and vote on your favorite setup. Quick disclaimer, nothing that I say is financial or trading advice. It's all for educational purposes only. Financial or trading comes with extreme financial risk. Please do your own due diligence. All right, then we get to the stock lineup. So got 16 stocks for you. Had this at about 50 or so when I did my first kind of check through. So the fact that I had narrowed it down to 16 really shows there's some quality setups in the market. After what we after the bounce last week, some things might be extended. Maybe we see Monday, Tuesday pull back a little bit, but market looks strong. So 16 names here. We'll go through each of them. The stars just represent the 4 stocks that you guys can vote on. They're not special in any way. All right, let's jump to the chart and kick it off with CTRN. So this one, you got the 200-day, the 50-day, 20-day, 8-day, all in the right order. From middle of November, it ran 144% up to the top. Then we pulled back to the 20-day moving average, just 14%. So high tight flag, if you follow me, you know I love to trade those 90% or more in 8 weeks or less, and then 25% from the highs. So pulled back, had this weird large volume day. Not sure exactly what is going on there, but it's really respecting the 20-day. It's starting to turn up here, and now we're over this main part of the volume shelf, so there's less resistance on the way up. I would be looking at if we open lower than the high and then just take out the high from Friday, which would be 63.27. That would be my possible buy point. Or you could wait for a break over all-time high, and that would be 64.74. That's CTRN. Next we have FCEL, FCEL. I've traded this one a couple times. As you can see, very strong uptrend, 250, 28, all doing the right things. This one, I'm hesitant to put it on because it's looking like it's starting to wedge up here a little bit. So it's not giving short-term traders a reason to sell off. And typically the setups that work best give short-term traders a reason to leave. I mean, maybe this pullback, 18%, but that's during kind of a slingshot higher. So ideally, we get a couple days where we undercut the lows from at least Thursday and Friday, test the 8-day, and then set up a little bit better. But this name is so powerful, I didn't want to leave it off my list. So I'm just looking at a break of all-time high here. That would be $25 as a possible buy point. But again, ideally, we pull back here, maybe allow the 20-day, test the 8-day, allow the 20-day to run up a little bit before we really push over there. But a really strong name. Definitely want to keep an eye on that. Set some alerts. That's FCEL. Next, we have FRSX, and I actually have a very small position in this. I tried to do a pilot buy on Friday, but then that kind of pulled back a little bit, but still in it. What I wanted to point out with this one is really high volume on these accumulation bars where everything's breaking out. And then when you pull back, absolutely no volume, very, very light. So a lot of people are trying to get in and not many people are trying to get out. So that's a great sign for this one. Another thing I like about this setup is it first pulled back from the high, let's see, 28%. Then it rallied from there and it pulled back and undercut the first pullback's low. So anyone who put their stops right at that price got stopped out when we pulled back on the 29th and the 1st of February. Since then, we rallied up a little bit, had an inside day on Thursday. So this is one of the stocks that I was really focused on Friday because I love the inside day to break out in an uptrend setup. Instead, we never cleared the previous day's high, or we never cleared Wednesday's high. Excuse me. Um, so I didn't add a full position. I'm in maybe a quarter size position at this point, but stayed over the 8 day. Did so on very little volume. Pulled back 2%, not much. So I'll be looking for a break over 968 as a possible buy point, and really try and kind of hit this hard because this is a nice 3 day pivot right through there. Pulled back to the 8 day. I mean, really powerful name. Last breakout was, come on, let's see, 172%. So definitely want to keep this on your radar. That's FRSX. Next, we have GEVO. This one might be a little bit early because the amount of volume in the selling here is a little bit aggressive. We pulled back 32%. Typically, when you pull back over 25% after a breakout like this, you'll need at least 6 weeks to kind of base out and move. Since this is a name with a lot of power, you can see, let's see, from November, mid-November, it's up 1,400% to the peak. So lots of power in the name. Probably doesn't need a full 8 to 10 week base like typical stocks do after they pull back 35% from the highs. But definitely want to keep this on a watch list. If we can break over Thursday's high point here, that would be my buy point. But I do think it'll need a couple days to set up and go. Ideally, we can undercut the 8 day and at least scare some of the weaker hands out before it sets up better. But break over 1266, that would be my buy point. That's GEVO. Next, we have LAZR, and I feel like this one makes my breakout watch list for the past 6 weeks because we had this very strong move. And every time I point this out, keep an eye on volume. Tons of people accumulating, not many people selling compared to the accumulation. Same thing on the second breakout to the second pullback, the third breakout to the third pullback. And that pattern continues. All the largest volume days are on accumulation days where the price is actually going up. So looks really great here, but I'm not the only one watching this. Basically, everyone was watching for this breakout. So that's why when it did, it's not too surprising to see people sold that off relatively quickly because not only did you have like the long-term traders looking for an add position, mid-term day traders even, or not day traders, but like really quick traders looking for a nice breakout, and that was 20%. But then since then, it's pulled back on extremely light volume. Thursday, Friday, upticks in volume as it made higher highs and higher lows, and the 8 and 20-day moving averages are right on top of each other right now. So I have a position in this already, but we'll be looking to add if we break over the high from January 28th, which is 36.39. The reason I picked that high is it also gives us a little space over that volume shelf. So typically, the less volume above, the less traders are trapped at those prices. So when you go to make a move to break out, you're going to see less resistance if there's less volume at above prices. So that's LAZR. Definitely, I don't know. I traded that a couple times, and it seems like everyone's eyes are on that one. So maybe it does need another flush before going, but that's why we buy on the way out and not just during a pullback. Next, we have MARA. This was a name that is kind of all over the place, very choppy. Had their pullback to the 20-day, rallied up, and pulled back again. ATR, average true range, is just starting to come in here. But we have the volume shelf. We have a buy point that would be above the main part of the volume shelf, and the pullback came on lighter volume. So doing everything right at this point. So I'm just looking for a break over February 3rd's high of 24.96. Call it just 25, and that would be my possible buy point for MARA. Next we have MDXG. Notice the volume on the takeoff there. 83% move up. We pulled back, kind of tested that breakout point again, got rejected, and then, like I always point out, we undercut that first low, so we shake out all the weak hands that was just in it for this move, shake everyone out, and it's kind of getting wedged up here, similar to FCEL. I would like it to pull back a couple days just to undercut some lows, since this gave no reason for people to get out. But then you do have a few daily highs here, Friday and, well, I think that would be Tuesday's high. It's a possible buy point 1023 right there. Next we have MELI. Very strong uptrend, 250.28, all in the right order. Pulled back on a little bit heavier volume, so one strike against the chart, 3 large selling days on increasing selling volume. Since then, rallied up. One pullback day was very light volume since the market bounced, and now we have set up with a possible buy point at 1938.60. That's MELI. All right, now let's get into the second half of the list, and we got NIO. This one has been extremely strong, obviously, 250.28. I guess the 20 is above the 8, but very close right now. Really low volume pullback after this kind of cup, and I guess you could call it a cup and handle, whatever you want to, but failed breakout here. I think this was on some news. It gapped up and sold off. So that's one strike against the chart. Really light volume the last 2 days where it pulled back. So that's why I'm keeping it on the watch list. I also have Tesla, so we will pick whatever the strongest one, the first one to go is, but you have a possible buy point from Thursday's high, that's 59.20, or if you want to wait for January 29th's high, that's 60.71. But nice low volume pullback so far, only 19% after a 58% move up. So still very strong, just letting some sellers out, which you do like to see, that downward to the right drift on low volume to set up a possible breakout. That's NIO. Next we have NNOX, and this one's going to be a pure pullback buy. This one is also on the list that you guys can vote from. As you can see, kind of based out, and then exploded out on volume here. Continued out on volume after kind of a couple pullback days. This is one I actually traded on a low cheat pivot, call out to Mark Minervini strategy right here, and then got about 80% on the trade. So now that I have some profit booked, I do want to come back to this because this got out on heavy volume, had 1 day of heavy selling volume, but even that was kind of a doji, so maybe some of that is in the buying to bring it back up. And it's still kind of just trading down to the 20-day moving average. Had a test over the 8-day, that kind of got sold off a little bit on the end of the day, Friday. So if we can get 2 to 3 trading days of sideways action, or even if we pull down under Thursday's low, 64.51, and then set up the trade, I'm going to be looking for a break over Friday's high of 72.50 as a possible buy point. It's NNOX, and one that you guys can vote on this week. Next, we have PLUG. I do have a position in this already. This was one of the names that when the market was pulling back, this only pulled back to the 8-day. So a lot of the growth stocks pull back to the 20 to the 50-day moving average. This is so strong that it broke out on heavy volume and just flagged out and still hasn't tested the 20-day moving average yet. Friday, we pulled back on very low volume to the 8-day, closed right at the low. and right at the kind of volume shelf point here. So hoping the 20-day comes up and then this pivots and just breaks out from there. Looking for a high of, or Thursday's high, 70.51 as a possible buy point or possible add point if you're already in the name. So right through there, really, I mean, really powerful, holding up this well during what we had 2 weeks ago. It's PLUG and another one that you guys can vote on this week. Next we have REGI, and I almost took this trade on Friday because it did one of my favorite things where if I'm tracking a stock that's flagging out, and then we can undercut the low, undercut the 8-day, and then rally back above the high from the previous day, then you could put the trade on there, and that's just instead of waiting for like a higher up pivot point to put the trade on, it gets you an aggressive entry point. They're more likely to fail and get stopped out, but when the stock does break out, then you're in with a lower entry point and you have more profit. So kind of weighing your risk and reward with that entry. But one thing I don't love is the selling volume just coming back down to the 20-day. That's a little bit higher than the others, but I mean, this is a really strong name. Obviously, we're only looking at the strongest stocks on this channel. So 250, 28, all in the right order. Um, and ATR is just starting to come down. If we can have a few other days of sideways action to set this up better, that'd be great. But we're also right around $100. So break over or break into $100 would be my possible buy point for this one. REGI. Got four more for you. First is REZI. This is one very large volume on this breakout. 250.28, like we look for. This got away from me. I was tracking it in here, and it was just kind of too choppy. Broke out, pulled back, really had a nice undercut of the pullback for a few days there. Broke the 20, came back, reclaimed that. Really low volume in the middle part of the last week, and then looks like it's starting to turn up here, right on the 20 and the 8-day exponential moving average, or 20-day exponential, sorry, 8-day exponential, 20-day simple. You can look at February 2nd's high, 25.70 as a possible buy point, or just a break to all-time highs as your buy point, and that would be 26.09. So REZI. Next, we have RIOT, similar play to MARA. This one kind of malfunctioned on the 29th, and that's setting up a possible buy point now. You could have taken this trade, I guess, a little bit earlier, but it doesn't seem to be respecting that diagonal resistance because typically when you get over it, then it acts as support, but really the support was the 8-day coming back down here, bouncing off that. So if we get a couple days of downward action, which I don't think we'll see with the kind of Bitcoin movement this weekend, if we could get some downward action on Sunday, then just a break over Friday's high, 24.39 is possible buy point, or just 24.74, the high from the 29th. And if we gap up, I don't chase gaps over the entry points that I talk about. I'll just let it go, look for another setup. Have 16 to pick from, so we don't have to trade every name. Next, we have Tesla, TSLA. Obviously, this has been the monster of 2020, 2021, already off to, I guess, a fine start. Had this flag going into earnings where if you get this kind of breakout, you take that trade, but that was 3 days before earnings. I never trade going into earnings, so did not take that. Let it pull back to the 20-day, undercut that. Got bid up, but again, one thing, I look for the clues in the volume. So larger selling, post earnings, that makes sense. Then the bounce back came on lighter volume, then the sell off. But it does look like we're kind of making that turn where yesterday or Friday was a green day, and it came with kind of the same amount of volume. So ATR is coming in, everything's getting tight here. I would just look for a break over 880.50, which is the high from February 2nd as a possible buy point right through here. It's Tesla, TSLA. And last but not least, we have UAVS. This is one that I traded kind of through here, made, I think the most money I've made in 2021 was from UAVS. Tried to take a trade on Thursday, breaking over this lower pivot after a strong, it was like 37% pullback. Much lower volume on the pullback though. Set up this pivot, couple inside days, and then broke out over that high. So that was my trade that I put on. But it squatted, took me half out at my entry, and then half out at my stop. But I don't want to turn my back on this name just because I took one losing trade. I made much more than just that one losing trade on this. So very low volume on the pullback as well. Didn't even make lower lows, just hit my stop. So probably other people stayed in the name on this breakout, but I would just be looking for a break over Thursday's high, 1289 as a possible buy point. Look at the volume on the way out versus on the way back in, way out, way back in, couple up days. So uh, the big names are holding on to this, accumulating, and not selling any of these 100% moves. So if they're not selling 100% moves, 200% moves, probably has a little bit more juice to it. All right, so that's going to be the breakout watch list, 16 names. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, Stock Tricks with Nick, and make sure you vote. Go to my Twitter account, vote on your favorite setup, and I will see you guys on Wednesday for the Midweek Movers live stream. Make sure you follow me on StockTwits, Twitter, and TikTok. Have a great week.